Hi, my name is Blake Tebow with Hidden Beats. We're here today with Dr. Mary Piercey-Lewis, the winner of the 2021 Musicounts Teacher of the Year Award.
Yay, thank you.
And now you are based out of Iqaluit still, correct?
That's right.
Awesome. So a little bit about yourself. Obviously, you have a doctor in your name. So you have a PhD in ethnomusicology from Memorial, which is in Newfoundland, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
That's correct.
Are you originally from the Maritimes yourself?
I am originally from Newfoundland. I grew up in a small town called Fortune. It's a little tiny town on the Burin Peninsula. It's the gateway to Saint-Pierre-Miquelon, the French islands that belong to France. From a musical family, a musical community. But I did study music at the University of Toronto. That's where I went when I was very young. And then eventually in my adult life, in my 30s, moved back to Newfoundland to pursue the PhD at Memorial. Yeah.
Very cool, very cool. What made you decide to pursue music academically instead of just as a passion?
Sure. I think from the time that I was a little girl, I can honestly say that even back in grade 3, grade 4, I knew that I wanted to be a music teacher. I had a really, really good music educator. Her name was Shirley Chapman. She was my primary music educator, and I loved her classes. I got a lot of enjoyment out of it. And then as I got older, I participated in all kinds of musical events as a teenager. I played the church organ at the church for years. I played piano. We had music nights at my home where people came over and we just sang and had a lovely time. When Shirley left, I had to find a new music teacher, and there was none in the area. I told you I'm from a small town, so there's not a whole lot of resources. But we did find an amazing teacher. His name is Neil Power in Marystown, which is about a 30-minute drive from my home. And my lessons were for half an hour, and my parents would drop me off at the school for the lesson, and oftentimes an hour or an hour and a half would go by where my lessons just continued longer and longer. I guess Mr. Power saw something and just wanted to continue the lessons, and then I didn't see him again for a whole week. So it was kind of nice to be able to go home with stuff to work on. And it was him who instilled the passion for more music. And he thought that I should attend the Royal Conservatory of Music in Toronto. And so at the ages of 15 and 16, I spent my summers going to the conservatory, taking piano lessons, taking all of my RCM history, harmony, counterpoint theory classes. And along there in Toronto is beautiful, as you know, but along Philosopher's Path, which is where the Royal Conservatory of Music is the music faculty. And I spent my lunches and big parts of my day at my breaks walking through Philosopher's Path, listening to the music coming out of all of the windows, either from the conservatory or from the music faculty. Going to concerts too, and just saying, wow, I would really love to go to school here. And so I went back to Newfoundland, of course, because they were summer courses that I was doing. And Mr. Power helped me to get ready for going to school at the University of Toronto. So we did an audition tape because we didn't have internet back then, and got the audition tape ready and sent it off. And then, I got in and had 4 beautiful years with amazing educators, lots of good friends, and then decided to do a master's right away in music education as well, also at U of T. And it was one of my professors, Dr. David Elliott. He does philosophy of music education, and in his book, Music Matters, and talking about music and culture. But he said to me, Mary, you should pursue a PhD. And I had never even considered it. I thought, what would I do a PhD in? And he said, you really should do one. And you need to find something that you're interested in and stick with it and go for it. And unfortunately, at the time at U of T, because I would have just continued on there, you had to go back to teaching for another 2 years before you could get into the PhD for music education. And so I went back teaching, which was great. And I don't know how many years I went back for, because I didn't actually pursue my PhD till much later, because my life took me to, Nunavut in 2000 and whatever year it was, 2001. And so my life took a completely different turn. But of course, I found my passion and I found my interest. And then within a few years was looking at doing a PhD then in not music education after all, but in ethnomusicology, which is, music and culture, because I was studying Inuit music at the time. Yeah.
Oh, that's really so. Did you go straight to, because I know you were teaching in Arviat for a while, which is in the Kivalliq
Yes.
region. Did you go to like Iqaluit first, then you went to Arviat? Like what drew you to Arviat?
I was teaching at a Bayview Glen in downtown Toronto after my master's, York Mills and Don Mills, nice city girl with a big music program, 4 music teachers and our concerts at Roy Thompson Hall. And I was giving a presentation at Festival 500 in St. John's. And my presentation was based on Dr. Eliot's book, and it was about music and culture and how you can't separate the two. And there was a man sitting in the audience, and I didn't know at the time, but he had come just to hear my presentation because he had a position in Upfit at the time. He wanted, the attendance at the school was really low, and he wanted to use the arts, as in music, drama, and visual arts, as a way of bringing more students into the school and retention and helping with graduation. And so he came to convince me to start the program in Upfit at the time. And so I found right after the session, we spoke, and I thought it was all very interesting, but I was quite happy with my job at Bayview Glen. And I decided, whatever, no, I wasn't going to go to Upfit. But that was June. And as the summer progressed and I was on my vacation, I was researching Upfit, and I started to think about it, and I'd go to bed at night and I'd be like, wouldn't it be wonderful? That sounds like such a wonderful opportunity and experience. And so I did. I left my position at Bayview Glen and I flew into Upfit. I can still see the little plane. It was a little tiny plane with propellers, and flew into Upfit. And at the time, being naive, I thought that I was flying into a community with no music. I don't know what I was thinking, to start the music program, which is true. I started the music program at the school, but the community was and still is an extremely musical community. Amazing musicians, beautiful music. And of course, Susan Glukak herself is from Upfit, our famous Inuit pop singer. And that was before my PhD. So it was just before. So I moved into Upfit, hoping to start the program. But when I got there, of course, there was no curriculum. And it was a very different school. And I was trying to teach, the way that I had been teaching at Bayview Glen, with songs, Zulu songs or Kumbaya, and let's just get everyone singing and maybe we'll play some guitar. And it wasn't very successful. My way of learning and teaching music was not the same as the way people had been learning and teaching music in Upfit at the time. And so I quickly decided that I was going to start a mentorship program whereby we brought musicians into the school. We would use, elders came in and we started doing traditional Inuit music at the school, Inuit music taught by the elders. And oftentimes that happened in evenings and weekends. And there was, of course, a lot of interest in that. And then, of course, bringing in musicians from the community. And I myself spent my days and evenings participating in music events. So every evening was either at the community hall playing, and after a while, of course, I got invited to play along with the bands, which was really humbling, and it was a huge honor for me. So playing along with the bands at the churches, because there's 4 in Upfit, and the community hall, and then people's homes, because not a whole lot of people watch TV, or we didn't, like I said, we didn't have internet back then. Well, maybe a little bit, but we didn't have access. And so I spent all of my extra time just making music with people. And that's where I learned so many beautiful Inuit songs. And I just thought to myself, we need to put together a curriculum for the students that was based on Inuit music, and that involved collaboration between teachers, singers-songwriters, throat singers, drum dancers. And so I stayed there for a number of years, and we ended up bringing choir to Festival 500 in 2000, I want to say 2003, I had a 30 voice choir, and we sang at the festival that year, and we sang all Inuit music, traditional, contemporary, you name it. And so I contacted Dr. Elliott to say, hey, I'm interested in doing that PhD in music education now. So can you help me get into U of T? And he says to me, what are you doing? And I said, well, this is what I'm doing. I'm living in an Inuit community and la la. He said, you don't want to do education. What you want to do is ethnomusicology. And I said, ethno what? Like, what is that? And he talked about it. And he said, you also need to contact Dr. Beverly Diamond, because at the time, she was one of the main researchers, I guess, music researchers in further north here in Johaven. And she was teaching at York University. So I contacted her and she said, oh, wow, this sounds amazing. She said, but I'm leaving York to start a program in Newfoundland. And so I hit the jackpot, because I was able then to go to Newfoundland, which is my home, and to study with Dr. Diamond. And that was it. That was then the start of the PhD, which took a lot longer than 4 years to do, because I got married and also continued teaching and, collecting and all those sorts of things at the time, but finished it up in 2015. So I don't know if that answers your question or if it leads to more questions.
No, I absolutely, I was just very excited to learn more about it. Just personal anecdote, I'm really big into cultural, anthropology of food is just like something I'm really passionate about.
Oh,
so for you to do
right.
a study on basically music and anthropology kind of thrown together as one, I was just like, oh, this is so fascinating. So so how long, so you've been in Iqaluit then since what, 2016 then?
No, 2008 I came to Iqaluit. So I've been here for, what's that? I don't know, 13 years, 12, 13 years. Yeah. Yeah. So when I left my PhD, I was hoping to go back to Upviet. And the music teacher that they had hired in my position at the time said he had one more year, and he's then going to go back to school, because I had to give up. If you take more than 2 years, they don't hold your position for you. I said, okay, well, that's fine. I'll just go somewhere else for a year. And I went searching, and there was a job available in Iqaluit. And I thought, okay, I'll go there for a year before I go back to Upviet. And then I came and stayed. Of course, fell in love with the community here too. And we've been here now for 13 years. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. No, so I'm based out of Ottawa, and we have a huge Inuit community here. We're pretty sure Ottawa has the largest outside of the Nunavut. We're estimating there's probably about 5K, roughly.
I would say, and maybe, yeah. And maybe Winnipeg too. I would assume Winnipeg, because that was my stop.
Winnipeg's the second. Yeah.
Second. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Basically Kivalliq and the Northwest Territories kind of feed into Winnipeg, and then the Qikiqtalik region all feeds into Ottawa, and then maybe Montreal, but mostly Ottawa. And then
definitely.
Yeah. No, I work at an Inuit organization. I work at Tunya Inuit down here. So that's why I was super stoked to this interview. So it's you understand. This is so cool.
Well, totally. Well, we'll have to connect, because we do travel. Last year, we sang at the National Arts Center, of course, and we did a number of big projects with the Kantiama Girls Choir and the Ottawa Children's Choir, whereby we commissioned Louis Ariak, who's an amazing singer-songwriter. Her poetry is just beautiful. Commissioned her to write songs for us. And then, of course, to come into the classroom to teach them to us and talk about the poetry and what it means for her. And then, because we were partnered with this particular one was Kantiama Girls Choir, Jackie Holly is the director of that, but her daughter Laura Holly is a composer, Canadian composer. So she took Louis' song then and rewrote it for choirs, for both of our choirs to sing together, and then also did a trio, piano, cello, and violin, and had the Griffin Trio from Toronto to play with us. And we actually premiered that here in Iqaluit a couple of years ago, and then took it to Ottawa as well. So I'm hoping that these type of projects will be able to happen again once COVID once we learn to live with it better and we're able to travel with the kids more, because those experiences are really, really, really great for them to be able to perform outside of, I mean, we perform all the time here in Nunavut, but it'd be really wonderful to perform outside again and to do some more of those bigger projects, you know, where we can connect with both Inuit and non-Inuit and create more music. And yeah. And National Arts Centre too. Yeah. Yeah. And Ottawa being so close is obviously a really good choice.
Yeah, the NAC, the National Arts Center, has been doing a lot of really awesome work at integrating more Indigenous artists and performers and just having space for them. And it's just been so wonderful to see, because we have such a huge, vibrant community down here. And it's just been wonderful to see it to flourish. We there's also Nunavut Sivanuksuvut, which is like a post-secondary school. So we do a lot of work.
My students.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I know you know it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was one of the biggest going from, you know, Toronto, Newfoundland, then Arviat and Iqaluit? What were some of the biggest culture shocks that you noticed when you first went up there?
Culture shocks. I don't know, because I mean, living in Toronto is very diverse. And I don't know what I could say. All I can tell you about being in Nunavut and what has drawn and kept me here are the people. Such proud, I don't know, people who just want to give and share with the world. And I think, I don't know, and what's so giving is that it's even the students in the class, it's very emotional. And I think that just living here, the ability to create and to share and to give out, it just seems to be that much stronger. I don't know if it would seem colder in the other places, or maybe because we had bigger schools. I just think that both Outfit too, I mean, being there was so welcoming. I mean, totally just took the arms and welcomed me into the community and shared with me all that beautiful music and came in and helped out with the kids. And it's the same here in Iqaluit. You know, I think that was one of the main things, is just the givingness of everyone. That could be a culture shock. I mean, obviously there's different music. I mean, we've got throat singing. I mean, I had heard it before I had moved to Nunavut 20 years ago, but throat singing is amazing and so different from other cultures. And then we now have one of my alumni, Olivia Chislett. She comes in and teaches throat singing now to my choir twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And so what's been really interesting there, and again, I mean, I don't know if it's culture shock, but definitely different, is that she teaches traditional Inuit throat singing from what she's learned from her elders. But then as a young woman living in this, new world that we're living in, she is very innovative and creative. So what she has done with the young girls is help them to be creative with throat singing. So they'll often make new sounds, or they'll add different instrumental sounds, or they'll add rhythms, and then just make a big brand new type throat song. And I think just her openness, and I think that comes from her background and who she is, just again being so welcome, has allowed for the young girls then to also feel the safety to experiment and to be creative and to just step out of their comfort zones and work together towards something. Maybe it's also that the working together. Yeah, it's been amazing. I've had a wonderful 20 years, and I'm very thankful that musicians and people have allowed me to be a part of that. Yeah.
That's what I loved when I was doing like some research and finding out more about the programs that you're part of, is that synergy. And I think that that's such a beautiful, like the kind of like the blanket approach, where you have the elders that are helping out, you have the students that are putting in their input, having former students, yes, coming in, yourself. Like, I just thought that was really, really just beautiful. There's a lot of that synergy happening down here as well in the Inuit music scene. There's a really awesome group that I'm friends with called Sila and Rise, and they do like, it's like Yeah, okay, yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah.
The two girls I'm really, really good friends with. And that's
Right.
why when you're talking about how like they're just taking these very prominent cultural, traditional and backbones of identity and adding that new flair
Hmm.
to it, and then you creating or
Yep.
allowing that safe space for that to occur is just so warm and encouraging. Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Definitely. And a lot of our kids come to school with so much on their shoulders, like they do in the South, I'm sure, too. And I just think that the music room being the open space that it is, the door is always open, of course. And the fact that there are alumni that teach, but also that our older students have taken ownership by also being mentors, that the room and the space is theirs. And so they also take that ownership. And then a lot of our students, if they've experienced something, any type of trauma, to have other people in the room that have experienced it, it just creates a solidarity and the free and open, safe space then to be creative together. And I think all of that really helps with healing, the healing process for many of our students. And then also like when they're writing, because we do songwriting as well, and preferably in Inuktitut, because we're trying to promote Inuktitut, but not always. Sometimes, it's in English, but just the whole dealing of emotions and being able to filter it out into something creative, and then to have your peers participate in it, to help play. Someone could be playing guitar or bass or percussion or add the throat singing, or someone could be drum dancing, when everyone is working on someone's song and then we're working on someone else's song or someone else's. I just think that it's a really great space to really grow and become confident, people who can then go out to the community when they graduate and be there for others, and use their music to help others or to be activists or whatever they choose to do,
no,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I was just very much in awe when I was reading up about you. So I'm really happy that, yeah, just everything that you bring to the table. When did you find out that you were nominated, and who nominated you?
Well, Heather Daly, who is the past CEO of the Alienite Folk Festival. So she is actually the founder of that folk festival as well. It happens here in Nunavut. She started it, I don't know. I mean, I've been here for 13 years, so at least that long. And that festival happened here right around National Indigenous Day and Canada Day, where she would bring artists from all across Nunavut, but also from Canada and all around, could be Greenland or Alaska. And the festival was not just music, it was largely music, but there were other arts too. So dance and visual arts and storytelling and those types of things. And so she was the CEO of that and pretty much got that underway. But then through partnering with her for the last 13 years while she lived here in Iqaluit, she's in Ottawa now, she ran concerts and did things throughout the years on a smaller scale. And we were always invited to participate, to perform. And also then as the years went on, any type of sound, because, sound for the shows, we purchased a big sound system here, but of course didn't know how to use it. So she would run workshops for my kids so that they could participate in the live shows with the sound engineer and to learn how to do sound setup and for musicians. So a lot of my students got a lot of their sound experience through Heather and Alienite. And then, Heather and I also played together. She played violin and I ran a few musicals and we sang in the choir together and the community choir. So we did a lot of stuff together. So when she retired to Ottawa and she heard about this grant award, she said, "Oh, I'm going to nominate you." And that was it. Now we worked on it together, though. It was a huge process, lots of gathering of information. There's lots of reference letters had to be collected. So I did know that she was nominating me and I did help a little bit in that process. But I didn't think we would get it. All we really wanted was some more recognition for the program and then to advocate for more music education programs in the North, because I am the only full-time hired music teacher in all of Nunavut, in such a place where music is so prevalent and so, honored and so distinct. You would think that there would be more happening in the schools. and there's great people in the schools doing volunteer stuff like extracurricular, and the kids are getting it that way, but there's no systematic programs. And like even my own sons, they go to the elementary school here. There's no music. And a couple of years ago, they did have choir, but it was because there was someone there interested, and then that person left, and now choir's done. So, we just thought it would be a great way to advocate for more programs that are Inuit based, of course, and more relevant for our students, but then also to hire more specialist teachers. And by specialists, I mean, specialized music educators, but also Inuit singer-songwriters, throat singers, drum dancers, for that to be a collaborative team to be able to deliver programs to schools all across Nunavut. So that's really what we wanted. And I don't remember when I found out that I was nominated. How did that go? Because I was oh, yes, I think it was Nick from Musicounts contacted me to say, there have been 5 nominees out of the hundreds of applicants. And I was like, whoa, are you kidding me? And then he says to me, but you have to answer these 5 questions in a week. So they gave you a week. It was like doing my PhD all over again. So I had 5 questions at a time, and everything had to be 200. Each question, it was 250 words. So you had to be very concise with what you wanted to say. And one was about philosophy, and one was about the needs of our students and one was about how did you address COVID? So they were very specific, but they were tough questions. And so I spent a good bit of time answering those. And then there was also the oral, and that's been, they posted that interview of the 5 nominees. So they did 5 interviews with the nominees. And it was, again, like a PhD exam where you talked about your program and you talked about your beliefs. And I do believe that was also another part of the judgment process. And and I think that would have been November. I think it was as early as November.
Okay.
And then, because the application would have gone in last spring. I don't remember. Yeah, but it was a long process. And I was super excited, but I didn't think I was going to win, especially after reading the other 4 nominees. I mean, they're all amazing educators and doing wonderful work. So I didn't know, but I just thought at that point, wouldn't it be great? Because I knew that the prize was another $15,000 for music resources for the classroom, which we desperately need. So, and then also to have the attention to advocate for music education was, and then we found out. So then we won. So it was all great.
What are some of your plans to do with the grant money or prize money, I guess? Yeah.
Well, we do need quite a few things. I think I answered last week. Our instruments. I run a band program as well, and we don't have a technician in town to repair the instruments. So they're in bad shape. Now we're lucky we do have partnerships with the National Arts Centre and St. John's Music. St. John's Music pays the salary of a technician to come up here now once a year, and then the National Arts Centre pays for their flight. So it's no cost to us, and then we can get our instruments repaired. But that hasn't happened for the last 2 years because of COVID, right? So our instruments are in bad, rough shape, especially the alto saxes, and they're not playing correctly. And one of the major reasons why people quit band is because they think they're terrible musicians, but a lot of 9 chances out of 10 is because the instrument isn't working properly. And that can be, you think it's you, but really it's the instrument. And so I'm very cognizant of that and making sure I tell the kids, no, this instrument isn't working and we have to get it either repaired or a new one. So I'm getting a bunch of new alto saxes for sure. And we have 3 bass players this year, and I only have 2 basses. And I have 1 really nice bass amp, and then I have a couple of practice amps. So we're going to get another new bass amp and maybe a couple more bass guitars, because it's nice for the kids to be able to take their instruments home. I need a new piano, although I don't think I'll be able to get that this time because there's too many other things. So new guitars. I need a bunch of new guitars. Right now we're playing student models, the lower end student model. I think for some of my advanced students that are in grade 12, I'm going to get some nicer higher end guitars so that they can also feel because they sound better as well once you get better. As you know, your instrument is part of it. So I'm going to get some better guitars for them so that they can kind of refine their playing. Yes, and I'm not sure. I think I can use the money for traditional Inuit drums as well. David Surqua from Ottawa, well, he's from Akvit and Iqaluit originally, but he's in Ottawa. So he makes our drums for us. And I would like to get a few of those made as well. So we're gonna buy new stuff.
Yeah, I've seen a number of David's pieces before. So
Yeah. He makes them to the perfect size for the girls for us. So yeah, and they're really well made. And ours are getting done. I mean, I have over 30 in the choir, and we use them regularly. So the wood is getting frayed, and on some of them the skins are ripped. So we need new pilauti as well. So I'll hopefully get some new ones of those.
that's awesome. Well, I know I won't keep you too much longer because I know you've got exams and all that underway, and Lord knows the teacher's day isn't done when the bell rings.
No.
So just what are some words of advice that you'd like to give to some students, either to your fellow Nunavumia or students down here in the South, just, you know, going into the next year of, as we were joking, with the unknown, just in regards to how to stay motivated, stay on top of your music, and just, you know, be present in your life?
Well, a couple of things, I guess. The major joy that I get out of being a teacher is obviously being with the kids. But for new teachers, or for teachers, especially music teachers, they need to get out into the community and to get to know their community musically, because there's so much richness in the music that's not within a whole lot of our curricula. So get out into the community, make music with other people, make music with great musicians, make music with everyone, because you'll find that that's really, really rewarding. And then through those connections, you can build partnerships to invite people into your classroom, because of course it's that much more rewarding for you and your students if you're learning music, especially if it's a cultural, from one particular culture. It'd be really nice if that person is actually a member of that culture. It's just so much richer and deeper. As we're in these times of COVID, what I have found difficult this year is the time of not being able to share in concert, because we're not allowed to do live concerts at the moment. And a big part of our, satisfaction, both for me and the students, is to be able to share with people, is to find grants, I guess, to purchase equipment. We purchased a couple of really nice, one really nice camera, a couple of really nice microphones, and I had some sound workshops. I had someone come in to teach us how to use all of that, just so that you can start doing videos at least, so you can still have a concert with the students, but then upload it to YouTube, or if you have a Facebook page, and at least then there's still this strive to create something beautiful, to a performance level, and then also to be able to share then what you've done with other people. It's especially during these COVID times, it's a really nice way to stay connected. And again, I don't know, words of advice: I just keep making music and be creative, and keep getting whatever it is that's in there out, because it really helps. Yeah.
No, I love that. I love that. You can really tell just how much you love what you do and the kids and just everything. It was very awesome to just meet you and to speak with you today. Congratulations again on your win. So
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure, of course.
Excellent.